bunch of cars get dropped off, they move them, they schedule them all into the first phase, and then you'll have cars sitting there for a couple of days waiting to get worked on. Then they get torn down, then they move into body, and then they slowly get worked through body. So a bunch of them are sitting around waiting to move through body. So they move through phases kind of like the tides, you know. So then
Yeah.
all of a sudden paint won't have anything to do one week, but then it'll be swamped with work the next week.
Hey guys, and welcome to the Grow IT podcast. One of your hosts here, Trey King. And today we are very excited to have our guest, Mr. Tom from Voltoniq. And we'll be diving into his story a little bit today, as well as what his company does, and then some engaging insights into the technology industry. So make sure to stick around for this one. But without further ado, Tom, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining today, Tom. I think if we can kick things off, if you could introduce yourself and tell a quick story, a snippet or two about your background, if you don't mind, please.
Sure. So I live here in Maryland, and I uh, have a marketing agency for auto body repair shops, like collision repair shops and mechanical shops. And we we do a lot of geofencing, and we sell it under a different brand name. And we discovered this tool that worked really well with our marketing, and decided to build our own version of it, which then kept turning into more and more stuff, into now the point where we have basically our own management
Yeah.
system for auto body shops powered by AI. So it's wasn't the intention to build this. It just kind of kept growing and turned into this whole other company.
Yeah, that's excellent. It's not often that you hear of, something that you're working on to make things easier, and then, there's something gets created out of that into a full-fledged business, right?
Yeah.
What a story. Tell me, Tom, what is it about what you guys do that you're so passionate about it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously AI is like a big thing right now, and just
Yeah.
about every industry. They all say every company is going to be an AI company in the next 5 years. And what happened was like I said, I started building this solution without really a roadmap to what it needed to become, and I just kept showing it to body shop owners and industry peers, and I said, "What does it need next? What does it need next?" About
Yeah.
2 years ago, I met with a paint rep, an executive at one of the big paint companies, and he said, "Oh, it needs a scheduler. You need production scheduling." And the in an auto body shop, it's a little bit unique in that it's kind of like a relay race. There's different people that do different things. You got a body guy, a painter, a reassembly guy, a tear down
Got you.
guy, and a vehicle moves through and moves through departments, and somebody needs to
Yeah.
schedule that. They need to coordinate that. And then you may have 50 to 75 to 100 cars that all need to be scheduled all at the same time. So we started building a scheduler, and then when the AI started coming out, I just kind of asked a like offhanded question to my CTO, and I said, "Hey, do you suppose that if we knew the efficiency of every technician, how many hours were in the estimate, if we could study the efficiency of the technician down to the manufacturer, we knew how many hours were on the estimate, that we could actually build a schedule where AI knew how long it would actually take each technician to do every car, and build an automated scheduling solution around that." And so he said, "I've got a guy that we can ask." And it was a friend of his that was an AI researcher. And
Yeah.
so I took him down to a body shop in Tucson, Arizona, and I walked him around the shop. He spent the whole day there. I showed him how cars move through a shop and where the bottlenecks are, and where communication problems are. And he talked to the techs and the painter and the owner. And then he came back 2 weeks later with the formula, and it said, "Here's how it needs to work," and basically handed us the formula. So we spent the last year and a half making that happen. And so now we're
Yeah.
now at the point where we're about to launch it into the public. So
Geez, Tom, that is so exciting. And like you mentioned, it's good obviously to have that somebody to guide you through that production line of what needs to happen where, and like you mentioned, where the bottlenecks are currently lying.
mhm.
But I mean, those statistics, I'm sure that can assist any body shop, especially when it comes to even like saving time, productivity. those kind of things. And that would actually help them with a good estimate of when the final product will be finished, right?
That's
Uh,
exactly what it does. Yeah, that's
yeah,
exactly what it does.
that is
Yeah,
fascinating. That's
and
fascinating.
and it chooses the right technician for the right car and in the right order to make it move through the phases as fast as possible. So right now, the way humans do it is a bunch of cars get dropped off. They move them, they schedule them all into the first phase, and then you'll have cars sitting there for a couple of days waiting to get worked on. And then they get torn down, then they move into body, and then they slowly get worked through body. So a bunch of them are sitting around waiting to move through body. So they move through phases kind of like the tides, you know. So then
Yeah,
all of a sudden paint won't have anything to do one week, but then it'll be swamped with work the next week. What this does is it makes that it plays Tetris with all the cars and the timing and it moves them through so you're not getting bottlenecked in any single phase at any single time. It's
single
flowing
time.
all the work through. Yeah.
Tell me, Tom, so will this this system of yours will that can it work on any on any type of body shop that's obviously there's a base, I would suppose, that it works from at any body shop, and then let's say that they want like extras done on that as well, because I'm sure there's a couple of tweaks here and there, with different body shops, or how does that work?
Yeah, if you're asking like is it customizable to every
Yeah,
shop? Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
it is. Every shop has their own kind of process, so you can set it up to match your process. Um, so it does other things too. That it does it's a CRM and it has AI communication tools to it. So you can ask as a customer any question about the repair, about the vehicle, about the timing, anytime, any day, it'll automatically respond to you because it knows everything about the vehicle. It knows everything in the file. It knows all the communication and everything that's going on with the insurance company. So it auto responds to you. So you're not waiting for an answer. You get instant answers
yeah.
as a customer. So yeah,
Very,
there's
very interesting.
a lot of stuff like that. Yeah.
Tell me, Tom, a bit more broadly, based on your expertise, and obviously you've been doing this for quite some time. What would you say are like the current market trends, that you're aware of? If you don't mind, if you don't mind to elaborate, let's say in business, what you're seeing, right? What way the winds are blowing, and maybe specifically, obviously, in the auto industry that you've been picking up as well.
I mean, so just in business in general, I think everyone's trying to figure out an AI solution for an automation via AI for everything that, you know, for every kind of vertical that's out there. We just happen to be one of the first ones or the first one in a vertical that people aren't even thinking about, which is, you know, collision repair, body shops. So I think that at least from what I see, you know, all the software companies, all the technology companies are trying to figure out how to bring true AI into, you know, to either streamline processes, eliminate some of the human interactions, you know, make things work 24/7, things like that, or do the kind of thinking that humans can't do, like for in my example with the scheduling, you know, work out every single possible combination and pick the fastest one. So
Yeah,
so yeah, and business in general, in the collision repair market, right now in the US anyway, shops are getting kind of slow. There used to be a really long backlog. Right after COVID, there was a 6 month backlog. It would take 6 months before a body shop could even work on your car. And
jeez.
that's worked its way back down to almost no wait times at all. Um, and there's a challenge with getting the insurance companies to pay for all the required procedures. Cars are getting very complex. They have a lot of technology in them, and they
Yeah,
take a lot of very specific repair processes to make them safe again. And the insurance companies are pushing shops to fix it cheaply and not the correct way and not the safe way. So good shops are struggling to get paid on all the operations that they need, and there's just so much time wasted in fighting with the insurance companies. And so our hope is with this software that you're going to pick up time elsewhere. You know, you'll pick up efficiencies in the customer communication, you'll pick up efficiencies in getting the work through the shop. But if it got back to a huge backlog situation, this would still be the perfect solution because it would move the cars through as
yeah.
fast as possible.
Yeah, I agree. And I think actually on the long run, this will obviously assist them with their cash flow as well. So,
Yeah,
especially now, like you mentioned, they're struggling with the insurance companies. So, this is so fascinating to me. Tell me from a, I think it's maybe good if you maybe can just highlight for us, like, I don't know if the program's got like a couple of pillars, that it's based on, or
sure.
if you can just maybe explain the product that you guys do just a bit more in detail, if you don't mind.
Sure, yeah. It's kind of like in four parts. So there's a CRM, so it's a customer tool.
Yeah,
Customers can send photos. You can get them kind of an online estimate. Although you really need to see the car to write a real estimate, but it'll give you a ballpark. And so customers can communicate with the shop via text. They can send videos back and forth, things like that.
yeah,
And then all the customer documentation goes into the CRM. All the customer communication and the insurance adjuster communication is all happening in the platform. Right now, shops, it's happening in different people's email addresses. Maybe it's a text message on somebody's phone and email over here. It's not centralized. So this centralizes all of that. All the everything about the vehicle, like the estimate, the the OEM the repair procedures, all that stuff go into this file. So that's the CRM part. The next piece is the scheduler. So you move it from the CRM into the scheduler, and the scheduler figures which tech gets which car, and it schedules it all automatically. Then the
yeah,
technicians have an app on their phone, and they use that to see which cars they're supposed to work on, what order they're supposed to work on them in, what parts are on that vehicle, where the car is located, and then how much time they have to do it. So they clock in and clock out of each job. They mark that the phase is complete, and then the system knows that it's now moving from this phase to this phase, like body to paint. And it
yeah,
updates the system automatically. It updates the customer automatically. And then the fourth part is it has some AI financial projection tools. So because the scheduler knows which cars are leaving on what days and how
yeah,
much revenue is in each one of those and what the parts were and what the labor is going to be, it can predict what their revenues are going to be into the future. So it has, here's where your money is today, and here's where
yeah.
you'll be in the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, however long we can go with how many cars are in production. So
That is excellent for, like you mentioned, for that projection. I mean, that is, I mean, just from a company management point of view, right? Making future decisions. That is, that's very much profound. Tell me, Tom, except now just for this specific product, right? Is there, because obviously you build custom AI solutions, if I understand that correctly, then, right? So is there, from your business, is that your main focus in the company for now? Only doing that, or do you have any other things in the pipeline or any other verticals, if I can call it that?
So you're talking about my main role in the company or
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm just talking from a product point of view, right?
yeah.
So,
So for the from the product standpoint, the we're trying to get into we think this will be a good fit for the commercial truck, heavy duty truck industry because they don't have any management systems whatsoever. Um,
oh wow.
the auto body shops have a management system. It doesn't do any of the things that our system does, but they have one that they can use, and most shops are on it. Um,
Mm,
but yeah, adjacent verticals. I mean, any like we're thinking maybe paintless dent repair companies might be able to use it. There's a new rise of a kind of shop called an ADAS center, and what they do is they do all the calibrations on all the anti-collision technologies that are on a vehicle after it's been repaired. And a lot of shops are building standalone companies, and the cars actually leave one shop and go to these centers, get recalibrated, and come back. So we think that is an area where they don't have like a management system just for that kind of thing.
that's
Um,
interesting.
but they work a little bit differently. It's one guy doing one car, so it doesn't change hands, and so I don't know if the scheduler's that important for them.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, as far as the different markets, I mean, we're just now launching it, so we're just trying to get it out there into
yeah.
shops, and then from there we'll see where the business
We'll see where
takes
it
us.
takes you.
Yeah.
Tom, if we can maybe step back a bit and just look at business as a whole, in your opinion, like what type of mindset would you say is needed to be a successful founder of a company?
Well, I've found it a couple, and you have to have nerves of steel, really. I mean, it really is. It's a roller coaster. I mean, the highs are highs and the lows are lows, and then you don't know how long each phase is going to last you. So,
Yeah, yeah,
um, it, it's like I can't imagine working for anybody, but on the other hand, sometimes I wish I did. I wish I just didn't have to worry about it, and
yeah.
I could just go in and just do my job, and just that'd be the end of it, and not have to worry about everything nonstop. But I have my
Mm,
marketing agency I've had for 13 years, which is a long time for a marketing company. They usually kind of fade out after just a couple of years. People can't figure out how to get and maintain a client base. Some get really big, but you have to have nerves of steel, and you have to be growth focused. I mean, you have to always be thinking about how you're going to grow it, because it's just, you're going to
yeah,
have client churn. You're going to have you need to always be looking into the future too, because there's always something coming along your way that you're going to have to deal with,
mm, mm,
and the sooner you're aware of it, the longer time you have to be dealing with
yeah,
how you're going to change it. Like even like on the marketing side, everything was content marketing and Google searching and SEO, and now AI is like kind of ripping that to shreds. I mean, people are even predicting the death of Google as a company because you don't search the same way anymore.
mm,
So
mm,
if you build a business based on one thing, and you keep your head in the sand and not look at what's coming down the road, you could go out of business very quickly. Um,
yeah.
so yeah, I would say nerves of steel, a little bit of a crystal ball seeking, and just growth focus.
Focus. And then, if you don't mind to latch on that, if you can maybe mention like one or two important things that you've learned up until now in your career. And I'm thinking now about the younger generation wanting to, obviously start a business, starting it out, and you've done a couple. If you don't mind to share maybe one or two things that you've learned.
Yeah, I mean, you have to get good at sales. I mean, you're gonna be your first and only salesperson always. You can't get it off the ground if you can't sell. So that's the first thing you need to learn, is how to sell yourself. Um, And I think that in my experience, I've seen a lot of people, they get very excited about the idea of a business, and they'll go and they'll rush to business cards, and they'll do all the fun things like get a
Create
logo,
a
and
logo.
yeah, and that's fun and everything, and it's important, and it's a good start. But I think because I've advised some young people on business, and they have no concept of how it's going to make money, how they're going to
Mm,
fulfill client orders, how they're going to pay for people, what people are going to be needed, how much time is going to be needed, things like that. So they go, and then it fizzles out after a couple of weeks. It's just like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
that was too hard, or that was too this. You have to really kind of know. You have to understand the money of it. You got to understand the numbers before anything else. Really, you have to know them, or at least have an idea what you think the numbers are going to be. Or if it can even produce money at all.
yes,
So, before you start fooling around with logos and cool names and ads design and all that stuff, you have to have product market fit in whatever you're doing, even if it's a service.
yeah. You've provided us with such good insight today. I cannot wait to see when your product is up and running, and and all those auto body shops everywhere, and like you mentioned, the trucking industry as well. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your insight today, and I appreciate you gave us some good pointers here for the younger generation. I'm sure some of the guys are making some notes. So thank you for your time, Thomas. And then just lastly from our side, where can the listeners get hold of you?
Sure, you can find me on LinkedIn at Thomas Zobelin, and you can reach out through our website, Voltoniq, www.voltoniq.com, VAULTONIQ.
Excellent. All right. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate you hopping on. All the best to you in your business.
All right, thank you.
Take care.
All right, bye bye.